Hey guys, what's up? Jordan Orell here, making my daily video on circumcision. And I had a question from a friend of mine recently. He posted an article about someone who had changed their gender in Canada so that they could get cheaper insurance, car insurance, because men are charged more than women for their car insurance. And brought up an interesting question, which is, well, what about someone who's transgender, who changes their gender as an adult and has experienced circumcision as a baby and sees himself as a victim of genital mutilation? Would that then be female genital mutilation if they were circumcised because they were a male, supposedly when they were a baby, but now they actually experience themselves as a female and they experience their genitals as having been mutilated? Is that female genital mutilation? And I think this question is really interesting for a couple reasons. It kind of illuminates some things about society and about the way that we see gender and about the way that we see genital mutilation. So my first sort of gut response to it is, well, by society's standards, no, it wouldn't be, because he was born a male and that's how society perceived him, and he had a penis, and when you cut off that part of the penis, that's not considered mutilation by society's standards. And so even if he now identifies as female, he still doesn't have a vagina, and so because his penis was altered in a way that, again, judging by the norms and standards of society, isn't considered to be a mutilation, then that anatomical part, even if he experiences himself now as a female, still her penis isn't mutilated because we don't consider that mutilation. Which is very interesting, very, very interesting and instructive. That would be my initial response. After thinking about it, I can see the other way of looking at it, which is that, well, that's kind of transphobic. It's like, well, if he really is now she, or has always been she, and experiences herself as a female, then her experience of mutilation should be called female genital mutilation, if that's how she experiences it, as a female who's had her genitals mutilated. Then why shouldn't we accept it as that? And I can see that point of view too. The thing is, really, what's interesting is there's also a piece on gender here, right? Because it's okay to mutilate male genitals, circumcised males. It's not okay to mutilate females' genitals. And they're very, very different, right? According to the way we think about it. Well, no. The truth is, when you really look at it, how is it different cutting off the foreskin, which has most of the nerve endings in the penis, the vast majority of the nerve endings, is most of a guy's sensitivity. It's about around half the skin, up to half the skin on the penis. It's a huge amount of tissue removed, way more than most female genital mutilation. And it was done throughout history to harm men's sexuality. So why then is it so different? Well, our society just tells us, if you cut a female's genitals as a baby, it's not mutilation. If you cut a male's genitals, or sorry, I said that wrong. If you cut a female's, it's mutilation. If it's male's, it's not. Because males aren't victims. Males are disposable. It's why it's funny if you watch a video of a guy getting beat up, that's humor. If you watch a video of a woman getting beat up, that's traumatic. That's tragedy. If you just simply switch the gender roles, a man hitting a woman versus a woman hitting a man, it's comedy versus abuse. And that's just the way that we have been brought up. It's not right, it's not good. It is where we're at right now, and it is something that's changing. And I think that's also an interesting thing with this whole transgender movement, is that we are realizing that, well, we need to recognize people for how they identify. And if you experience yourself a certain way, then it's just a kind thing to do to call that person by the correct pronouns. It's just very rude to act like someone is something that they don't experience themselves as. It makes life a lot harder for them. It's not that big of a deal for you to just change your pronouns and use what someone is experiencing themselves as. In the same way, I think it's really important with genital mutilation and by the way, here's the right answer to the question. If someone experiences themselves as a victim of genital mutilation, then we recognize that. We say, okay, if you experience yourself that way, if you had your genitals altered as a child in a significant way, and you experience that as mutilation, then it's mutilation. That's the correct answer. Whether it's female or male, again, if she identifies as a female and says, my genital is mutilated and I experience myself as a female, I want to call it female genital mutilation, even though it's a penis and the foreskin was cut off. She has every right to do that. I think that is perfectly proper to call it that then. I mean, it's kind of, splicing words at this point, and I don't like that. I don't like getting super linguistic about it because I think that's a waste of time. I think the cold hard facts here is it's genital mutilation if you alter a child's genitals in a huge permanent way, like cutting off their foreskin or their clitoris, which are the two primary sensory aspects of a person's anatomy. So the correct answer here to me is really just yes, it's mutilation. Call it female or male genital mutilation if you want to. I'm actually all for abolishing male versus female genital mutilation. It's genital mutilation. If it's genital mutilation, guys, we really need to get past this idea that it's okay to hurt males. It's okay to punish them and treat them as disposable. We're all human beings here, and we need to treat each other as human beings if we want to live on a planet where we live in peace. That's just how it is. If you're not down with that, then that sucks. Because I don't want to live in a world where we don't consider other people's feelings, where we don't consider if it's okay or not to make a decision that will permanently affect someone without their consent. It's all about consent. It's all about having empathy and treating people with the dignity and giving them the human rights they deserve. So that's my opinion on transgender circumcision, on mutilation of children who may consider themselves to be males or females. Ultimately, I say mutilation is mutilation. Oh, by the way, one other thing, a baby always experiences it as they don't have any words for it, but they experience it as torture. It's one of the most painful things that you can do to a human being, and it's completely unacceptable to do anything that's that traumatic and horrific to any child needlessly. And there really is no need for this. There's really no medical benefits to circumcision. So I would argue on that ground alone, because it is also mutilation to the child, it's trauma to the child, that we really should not be doing it. But yeah, that's about it, guys. Thank you as always for watching, and I will be back again tomorrow with another video. Peace out.